Good evening, Tony Dattino, and I'm the founder chairman of the USA Memory Championship, and we're fast approaching July 30th for our qualifying rounds, and we are fortunate to have our dear friends from Memory League and Lumosity ready to go for the virtual competition that will then bring us to the 12 finalists that will come to Orlando, Florida, compete on October 1st to see who's got the best memory in the United States for the year 2022. But I want to finish up. It's Friday again. My goodness, it's July 1st, 4th of July. The fireworks are going off, and off we go. And I want to finish the fireworks. We started with the Brain Power series. So, first of all, I don't think I've explained to people what the Brain Power series is and what we've been doing with different groups of people and where it's making a huge impact on their lives, and be it their academic lives, be it their professional lives, be it their personal lives, and what they want to achieve within it. And so Brain Power Series is a series of 3 courses, one being the Maximum Memory Mastery, which has come from a culmination of studying and observing the mental athletes that have competed in more than 20 years of the USA Memory Championship, and working with neuroscientists and different mentors of mine that have really helped give us insights and ways of looking at the whole thing of memory in a way. And so from 30 plus years of my own personal experience, plus 22 years of experience in working with mental athletes and observing their actions in the competition, Michael Dattino came along and put together a course called Maximum Memory Mastery. And it's got how to remember names and faces, how to remember numbers, how to remember sequencing of objects, how you can read text and retain it for long-term use. So it's a loaded course. It's got a lot of good materials in it that just is fantastic. Well, he came along from that, and as we were doing workshops, so now we were doing workshops. So who do we do workshops with? We did it with a group called the Celebration Lifelong Learning Group, which is a group here in Celebration, Florida. We did a series of workshops for them. We got some early feedback. They loved it. They really aspired to it. We had a lot of fun doing those sessions. We have learned a lot and getting feedback from that. But that gave us a good handle on we have something that people see has value to it. I've done this with senior groups throughout my life. We got a chance to go to the villages and work with a veterans group there, and they equally appreciated what we were teaching in that. And then we started doing work with a hospital system here in Daytona, Florida, and had a chance to run a 4-part series there. And in each case, we had a chance to take the Maximum Memory Mastery, which is hours of great material, and break it into 90-minute segments. So when I tell people that when they enroll for the Maximum Memory Mastery, don't try to take this thing in one bite. It's broken up into teachable modules that you can grab pieces of it, practice the skill, and then utilize that. So we've had a chance to bring those fundamentals and skills to different community groups across the Florida area and some in New York, as I did as I go back and forth. But I think it's important that we deal with community centers, assisted living, different groups of people, school kids. Michael is currently working with a group of students from Columbia University on a study there. And so we've exposed this material to a group of different age groups and people, and they've just absolutely loved it. Now, what do we love? Seeing the difference we're able to make in people's performance, in people's lives, in a way of things they want to do and then things they want to study. And so from that course, we've been able to help a firefighter who wanted to pass an engineering exam. We've been working with a chief nursing officer and taught her some things, and she wanted to go for her doctorate. We had to work with a student pilot. He's at school learning to be a pilot, and so we've helped him. We have the pleasure of working with a stroke patient, somebody trying to pass a diplomatic exam. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The point of the matter is we've taken this maximum memory and we've chunked it into pieces where we've actually been able to have people apply it to personal exams, professional exams that they're taking, to school academics, to professional accreditations. I had a great experience with a stroke patient who utilized the techniques to pass the Agile IT exam. So we've had a lot of great success, not only from the community groups, but also within individual mentoring coaching sessions. Michael Latino has been a master at doing this. He really has a teaching skill that is priceless to people who really want to make a difference in their lives, and things they have to learn, things they have to retain that are important to them that can make a difference in their lives. So that then, in doing all of that, has been interesting because that brought us, especially in the public seminars, it brought us into the creation of a second online shop called The 6 Elements of Brain Fitness. And so we put together, Michael did a lot of great work and laid out the scripts, did some phenomenal research on that, and then has this course that people love on the 6 Elements of Brain Fitness. And we share with people what we call the Wheel of Brain Health, which is a way of saying, take a look at this wheel, draw your spokes, right, as you would the spokes of a tire or the spokes of a bicycle wheel, and do your own personal self-assessment. You don't need anybody to help you to do that. There's a picture of a wheel. It's got spokes on it. Put the 6 spokes on it for the elements of brain fitness, and you know where you stand and what you have to do within a very quick 2-minute self-assessment. And it gives you the opportunity then to decide what you want to do, where you want to do it, how you want to do it, and what you might want to start reading in terms of your own personal growth and impact to your own brain fitness. So that brings us along to the third element of the Brain Power series, and that is how to become a super learner. So how do you take these principles that we've been working with people with now for more than 10 years, how do you distill them on an individual basis so that you really get each individual person? So it's personal, it's pragmatic, and it's proven that we work to at least get people on a one-on-one basis to achieve their own personal levels of performance. And with that, Michael Latino is in the process then of finishing up his slides and then beginning his narration on something called Becoming a Super Learner. And who doesn't need to become a super learner in today's world of information explosion with the demands that people are putting upon you in a global economy, in a world that is just demanding more and more and more in a more effective and efficient way. And COVID certainly doesn't help us with that, because companies are having to become more creative than ever to figure out what they wish to do and how they wish to do it. So along comes the Brain Power series and those 3 elements of maximum memory, 6 elements of brain fitness, and how to become a super learner. So I'm doing all of that, and here I am reading the current issue of Scientific American magazine, and I'm reading an article on mental illness and dementia. And so this is one of the areas where I think people need to be aware that there's so much more they can do. They looked at a study of 1.7 million people over a 30-year period of time, and they found that those diagnosed with mental disorder that have anxiety disorders, depression, bipolar, had 4 times the chance of developing dementia. But here was the good thing about this. What they discovered, that there were things that these people could do that could make a difference and help either minimize, ward off, what they call build a cognitive reserve. And with that cognitive reserve, that brain power would be robust enough to withstand normal aging. And guess what those things were, right? How do we reduce stress in our lives? How do we introduce some mental exercises in our lives? How do we do a better job of getting into sleep patterns? How do we do with dealing with depression in our lives and minimizing the impact that it has on our fitness and our health? And so over a period of time, the brain's memory center, which is the hippocampus, is where dementia and Alzheimer's comes from, can be built up and can have reserves that one can take over. And back around in a circle, there is so much more we can do with our brain health than we ever thought possible in taking control over it giving the desire, the willingness to learn, the willingness to practice, and the ability to make some changes. That is my Friday broadcast for today. Have a great weekend, and we shall see you on Monday.